talk about it again. So let's not waste any time. Let's bring in our experts. Bring them in. I want to see the boys. Who do we got here on the show today? My man, Justin. We've got my man, Mike. Justin, how we doing, buddy? You doing all right?
Yeah, dude, it's great to be here. You know, I love these shows. I love getting the whole hour to sit here and run through what we got for the night. Obviously, big game, big NBA series. Everyone's been waiting for this one. Really excited about it. Suns, Bucks, but yeah, excited to be here. Excited to break it down. How about you? How you doing?
Man, I'm great. M squared. How we doing, buddy? It's good to see you again.
Always good to see you, my man. AB, life is good. We got some soccer going on. We got Wimbledon tomorrow, NBA Finals tonight. Awesome baseball slate. It's good stuff. I'm very excited to be here today.
It is, man. It's a low-key great sports day, right? For a Tuesday, when we're in the end of the NHL season, the end of the NBA season, we've got a ton of good sports going on. Obviously, we've got the finals going tonight. The match is about to start if it hasn't just. Some MLB on the docket as well. But let's jump in to the best part, all right? What we want to do, what we want to give out. We want to hit all of you guys with a free subscription, a year-long to SportsLine. Make sure that you follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and you can win a year-long subscription to SportsLine. That's a $100 value right there. We're trying to hit you with it, and you can make so much more money off of that than what that value is. So make sure that you do that. Also, chance to win one for free. Include your Twitter handle or Instagram handle in the chat. Follow SportsLine on those platforms. That's literally all you have to do. You know the like situation. We've got to get to 100, and we'll give 1 year away free. Get to 200. We're going to do it again and give away 300, which I definitely want to get to. We'll give away 5 years away. Plus, we've got some other nice parts coming in. Anybody that wants to take advantage of SportsLine right now, make sure you use promo code EDGE. Get your first 30 days at SportsLine for free. All the expert picks, SportsLine's patented simulation models, all at your fingertips. After the first month, you'll be playing with house money. So we got that out of the way. Let's take a look at what we have from this morning. So our plays from the Monday Morning Podcast of the Early Edge. Mike, you've got Drew Holiday over 22.5 points, and you've got the Phillies and Cubs over 9.5. I'm riding the Suns team total over 112.5. Coach, he's riding with Team Mickelson and Brady at plus 138. Our man Zach Attack's got the Bucks plus 6, and Bobby Portis over 25.5 points and rebounds. And our sites plays, we've got both teams to score in Italy versus Spain, which that is already hit. Italy draw, no bet. And the Jewelers Gym tonight, Italy draw, no bet. Phillies, Cubs over 9.5. Bucks plus 6. So that brings us there. Now, Justin, I'm going to kick it to you. You've got some plays that you've got on the site, you got on Twitter, couple plays. It looks like 3 from Major League Baseball. I'm going to throw it to you right here. Walk us through what you've got. Explain why you took it.
Yeah, so it's actually going to be 4 plays tonight. One of them I do share with Mike. You just mentioned that Phillies and Cubs over. Mike and I don't talk, so this, just sort of happens on its own, which is probably a great vote of confidence for it. We both really like the play. We both probably really like the weather. I actually am really busy on Tuesday morning, so I didn't actually get to hear Mike talk about it too much. But, I was, keying in on Nola and how bad he's been on the road. His K to walk ratio is at 3.64 when he's away from home compared to 8.35 at home. So he's a lot worse when he's not pitching at home. So yeah, I'm going to go on the over. I'm going to take advantage of also their bad bullpen in Philadelphia. A lot of reasons there to share with Mike. But then also I have the White Sox and the Twins over. This one has a little bit of a storm issue. Might not get played, not really sure what's going to go on, but Jose Barrios might be in for a tough time tonight with this White Sox lineup. They can hit. The Twins seem to always allow runs in this matchup, 12.6 runs per game in the 10 games that these two teams have played in over the season. So that's a lot of runs, especially with this line set at 8. So you can expect a high scoring affair if this does get played, if the weather isn't too nasty. Then 2 money line plays. I'm actually going to go with the Diamondbacks. The Rockies are awful on the road. They've only won 6 games. You're getting minus 130 to back the Diamondbacks against the Rockies tonight. they've only, again, 6-31 on the road, only able to win one time in a road opener on a series. I just don't think they're going to be able to get it tonight. Merrill Kelly has shut down some decent teams in his last couple outings, Brewers, Padres, and Giants. He's limited them to 4 runs in his last 3 starts. So pretty good. I'm going to back Arizona. And then finally, the Giants. The Cardinals won last night, but the Giants haven't lost back-to-back games at home except for in one series against the Dodgers. So there's a lot on the line here tonight. Giants have a great home record. Cueto, really great at home too. Expecting Wainwright to struggle a little bit on the road. I know a couple of my SportsLine colleagues agree with me there too.
Nice. I like it. Mike, now I'm going to throw it to you. Let's get everybody up to speed on what your plays were from this morning. Kick it over to you first in terms of Drew Holiday over 22.5 points. Walk us through what you're seeing there.
Yeah, so I played this one last night, 21.5. This morning, 22.5. I believe it has come back down to 21.5 with the news of Giannis Antetokounmpo being upgraded to questionable. It is, back to 21.5 on William Hill. Still like this number. If you recall, we gave this one out very quickly. The last 2 games also hit in those 2 games. The edge was massive to the point where we still have a slight model edge. It's basically a normal type of edge on this number, even if Giannis plays. It was one of those situations where at 21.5, I'm having my median number all the way up to 27. That's essentially unheard of type of edge in terms of a player prop in the NBA at this point in the season. So we're still there. We still have the edge. Median number is 22.8 right now. It is a more normal edge if you're someone that's simulating the games and going to look at taking an over in a player prop. So I'm still on it either way, whether or not Giannis plays. I don't think Giannis will play. If he does, I do not see him playing more than 24 minutes in this game. So Drew's usage is still going to be there. Drew's playing 42 plus minutes in this no matter what happens. So I like Drew. I'm still playing this play. Obviously, I played it last night, so there's no real way that I'm getting out of this play. But if you haven't played it yet, wanted my thoughts on it, I personally would still play it. Maybe hold off over the next hour as we have more speculation, but I expect to have Giannis news a full 2 hours plus before the game.
Beautiful. Now, before we get into deep diving the NBA Finals, you've also got Phillies Cubs over 9.5. What are you seeing out of this? Give us your breakdown. What you're seeing out of this game tonight.
Yeah, this is 100% related to the weather conditions and air density and the ballpark that they're playing in. We've got a nice piece of line movement here. You could have gotten it at over 9 minus 120. I played at 9.5 even money this morning. It's at 10 and you're having to lay minus 115 to even get the 10 right now. I do think after this show, by the time it's there, it's going to close at 10.5, maybe even money at 10.5. But it's 100% related to the weather conditions. I believe I still have my notes from this morning pulled up here. Yes, air density index 60, 85 degrees, 60+% humidity. Looking at some of the weather trends in the weather database, similar games to this one have an increase in home run hitting around 30 to 35%, overall run scoring 20 to 25% increase. That this game, like I said, stunned it opened at 9, should have opened at 10. And you saw myself, Justin, many other sharp people, and the market move that one to 10 very, very quickly this morning. And my median number is 11.2. So still a lot of meat on the bone on that one.
Yeah, I love it. It seems like it's a value there. Yeah, Justin, go ahead.
There was 4 home runs last night in that game, and I believe the first 3 were solo home runs, and there were still 16 runs in the game. So weather conditions are pretty similar tonight. Again, the wind tunneling at Wrigley is just kind of ridiculous. Fly balls that maybe shouldn't be getting out of the park do get out of the park. So look, we're just going to keep playing these types of games on overs essentially systemically because, why not? It's going to cash. It's going to happen more likely than not. And in the long run, we'll just continue to profit. So hit last night, going back to it tonight, got a better number. I mean, we took it at 10.5, 11 last night and we still hit. So 9.5 was a blessing today. Very excited about that one.
Nice. I like it. Now, let's talk about and jump into what we're absolutely here for. We got the NBA Finals tonight, 8 o'clock Central. Bucks at the Suns. Spread teetering. Suns 5.5, Suns 6. Total 219, 219.5, somewhere, depending on your book. So here's my question before we dive into all of it. The Suns have rest. The Bucks don't. Justin, I'm going to throw it to you first. Just that alone. Is there anything that you see out of this? Does that give you any Concern on the Buck side? Does it make you feel better the Sun side? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think I've heard takes on both sides about rest, if it's good for the team, if it's good for the Suns to sit and be rested. I mean, someone like Chris Paul is going to benefit from it, but what about their young guys who sort of have had this rhythm of games to be in sort of form, if you will, compared to the Bucks, who are not going to have that same level or a little bit more recently off the court. But again, you have injuries that are going to be the main story tonight. Giannis and his ability to play fully, to play, with strength, to go to the bucket if he does play at all, is what's going to be the difference maker tonight. If he is ruled out, I would expect to get some movement on this line towards the Bucks. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see it close at 6.5 if Giannis is ruled out in the next, hour and a half.
Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think the rest really comes into play too much as far as helping the Suns. Frankly, if I was the Suns, I would have not liked 5 days off. I would rather have 3 to 4, which is a very normal thing at some point in the season. But the extended time off is not always a good thing when you have teams like that and getting into certain rhythms. So I'm not worried at all about the Bucks in terms of their rest situation. 2 games off is literally a normal situation for an NBA team. It's something that they're very comfortable with. They didn't have time to celebrate. They knew that they didn't have time to celebrate much. They knew they had to get into recovery mode. I like that. I think it lends to being more focused and coming out in a normal situation. So I like it here. I like Zach's play, frankly. I wish Giannis would just sit. I think they're the same team with or without Giannis. I think that Giannis being in there is going to cause some issues for them if he does try to play, because you're not getting a full complement of minutes from him. You're not getting that full rotation from him. So I am in the camp that I think Giannis is literally worth 2 points. People will disagree. They'll say he's worth 7 to 8. I tell you, you don't know anything if you say that, but that's what I'll say. Giannis is worth about 2 points. So not really too interested in taking a side, not until we know what's happening with Giannis. But if Giannis sits and this thing goes to 6.5, I do like it. I think the number should be 4.6. So
nice. All right. So, going off of what you're just saying in terms of Giannis, it doesn't sound like you have any, major correlation type movement, right? Like whether Giannis plays, whether he doesn't play, like you're pretty consistent in what you think, excuse me, that the Bucks players are going to, accrue in terms of points, in terms of assists, any type of stat that you can think of. So let's just assume that Giannis plays 2 minutes or less, right? Like let's just say he's non-factor whatsoever. Run me through, what you're seeing. Obviously, you're playing Drew Holiday here. What kind of game do you see out of the Bucks? Is it pretty much just business as usual? Do the Suns present a different type of matchup that they'll have to, kind of face, whether defensively, whether offensively? Is there anything that you're seeing, kind of early? And again, I'm not saying make any type of, super play on it, but just your thoughts with a different type of matchup of a team that we've only seen them play twice this year.
Yeah, no, I think that if Giannis doesn't play, it helps the pace of the game. Milwaukee gets to play a lot faster, which is what they're going to want to do against this matchup, especially against Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to want to slow it down at points in the game, but I like it a lot for Milwaukee. So what's going to happen with Milwaukee is if Giannis doesn't play, but he is close to playing, you're going to see them, again, treat it like it's game 7, right? They're going to go all out. They're going to know that Giannis is coming back at some point, and they're going to be able to shorten those rotations or lengthen those rotations for some of those other guys a little bit when they play with Giannis. So it's going to be 42, 46 minutes for Drew. It's going to be 42 to 44 for Chris Middleton. Chris Paul's not going to play more than 35, 36. I think that it's a great spot for the Bucks, which is why it's kind of deceiving. Like I tell you that Giannis is only worth 2 points. What I mean is that the outcome and the way that they're going to play, because he's not going to be taking that usage, and Drew and Middleton and Bobby Portis, those guys are going to be out there for extended minutes because they're not going to go deep into the bench at all. That in this situation and the way the game is going to change based on whether Giannis is in terms of how the game, what kind of pace it's played with. That's why the difference is really only 2 points here. So I love Middleton. I love Holiday. I love Bobby Portis as long as Giannis doesn't play. I don't think Giannis plays more than 20 minutes if he does.
No, great explanation. Justin, your thoughts here?
I mean, Mike and I think pretty similarly. I can't imagine that this is going to be like, some huge difference for them. The way that they have played in Game 6 against the Hawks is kind of what you can expect to see if Giannis sits. If he does sit, if he plays and he sits for more time than normal, which is, again, what likely happens. But look, I mean, you talked about how dominant that home teams have been in Game 1. We do have a very hungry fan base behind the Phoenix Suns who are going to be looking for that win, cheering their team on. Home court advantage is, it's kind of back, man. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a human element here. You have some young guys on the court for the Suns. You might have some, finals jitters. This is the first time that Ayton and Booker have even been in the playoffs and they've been able to make it to the finals. How do they perform on the big stage? I mean, I don't know. I'm looking at Devin Booker. I think he's going to try to set the pace tonight. He's going to try to be the guy who comes out and drops, 3 or 4 3-pointers, shooting a lot, trying to maybe, win this for his team on his back a little bit to set them off on the right direction. So it's going to be an interesting one. I think that the spread is pretty fair for right now, given that we don't know what is going to happen with Giannis. Again, I do think there's going to be some type of shift by a point, 2 points if he does sit. I'm of the camp in the terms of thinking that he will sit this one out. They have a lot more to gain from being healthy for the final 6 games than they do for him trying to push it in the first game. But again, we don't know how he's feeling. I'm not on their sideline. I'm not their coach. But that's, assuming that he's kind of like, well, I could, this could be a place where they, manage his injury and try to have 6 games of him healthy because, he is a dominant player.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point, too, in terms of his importance of the final 6 games instead of, the first one, right? So, all right, first off, everybody, let's make sure we get to 100 likes. We want to give out a subscription to SportsLine a year long. Look at Justin and Mike. Their faces are dying to give one out. So let's get to 100 likes. Make sure that we do that. Now, as we do it, and make sure, drop your Twitter handle in there. Make sure you follow SportsLine. Certainly that is a requirement to do it. But let's get to 100 so that we can focus on getting to 200. As we do that, here's a question for you guys. So we see these teams play twice this year, all right? Total, I believe, was 240 points or more roughly in both of those. Now, I believe one was in overtime, but still, we're looking at a total of 219 tonight, all right? One, my question is going to be, where do you sit over, under? And again, it doesn't have to be, an official play by any means, but just, kind of your thoughts on it. And 2, what happens if the pace of play is fast tonight and we get, let's say, above 230? Do we see a big change in Game 2 in the total? Justin, I'll throw it to you first. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this one could be a pretty reactionary market in respects to what happens tonight sets the tone for Game 2. I think you'll probably see it close, between this, like probably average between this 220 mark and whatever it finishes tonight, like somewhere in between. It'll react decently. Unless, again, it's some crazy blowout and you don't have a true feeling for how the series is going to be, which there is a chance of. But, again, it's probably small tonight given the stakes of the game. But, I'm probably going to go, maybe for that over. Both these teams had overs hit in the final 2 games they played of their last series. So, especially with Giannis out, I think the pace does pick up a little bit. He doesn't, he gets to the line a lot. He fouls a lot, or he doesn't foul a lot. He gets fouled a lot. It slows the game down. You get into more sets. You get into more play calling. Middleton and Drew, they sort of just go with the flow a little bit. You might get the same thing out of Booker, who's sort of like this one-on-one, going to take a personal challenge type of guy. They're going to, keep going at each other. I like the over. I think it's, a little bit of a contrarian play. A good deal of sharp money is on the under tonight. But I think we see some fireworks. There should be some shooting tonight. I think you're going to see a good deal of open shots for the Bucks and maybe even for the Suns too. So I expect it to go over.
Yeah, see, like I'm a dummy, right? Like when I look at totals, I have to kind of write down like a projected score, right? It helps me. So if we're looking at 219, I mean, that's essentially a 111, 109 type game. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying I can definitely see it happen, especially if we see a pace of play that picks up. Mike, I throw it to you. What are your thoughts here on the total? Either way, anything that you're seeing, anything that you're feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to touch it until I get confirmation on Giannis, which, again, I expect in the next 60, 75 minutes or so. But I have this one over. I have it at 223.5 is where I make this number, which is a stark contrast from 219. But I'll wait to see what happens with Giannis. I think that 219 is more likely if Giannis plays. Again, the game just slows down the interior defense. So if you know anything about Chris Paul and some of the ways that really the Suns team in general is going to like to play, they're going to look for a couple of those mid-range shots, maybe a little more than other teams because of Chris Paul. That's also how they create offense, right? He's going to penetrate. If he gets stopped or gets challenged in any way, he's dishing. If not, he's going to pull up for that 15-foot jumper. That 15-foot jumper is a heck of a lot easier when Giannis is not on the floor, right? So that definitely impacts things on both sides of the ball. But I like the over if Giannis doesn't play. If Giannis does play, I would not touch the total in this game.
Yep, I feel you there. Now, in terms of looking at a spread, and again, I'm throwing this question at you. You guys didn't even know that it was coming, but just your initial thoughts on it, right? So you look first quarter, all right, Suns favored by 2. Now, you've got the Bucks, who all year long have been one of the top, first quarter scoring teams in the league. As I just throw that at you, right? Suns -2 first quarter. What is your initial thoughts? What comes to your mind? Like, do you see any value in a first quarter play, maybe a first half play on either side, right? Is there anything there that you think and say, well, I could see this happening? Mike, I'll throw it to you first. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would lean towards the Bucks in the first quarter. I think that they're coming. I know it's maybe a little contrarian. The team is at home, obviously, NBA Finals jacked up to play. But there's one thing that we really know about Chris Paul, right? We know Chris Paul is not playing the full 12 minutes in the first quarter. He's going to come out there. He's going to play his 7-minute shift, and he's going to go sit so he can start the second quarter. We know Middleton's playing 9+ out of the 12. We know Drew Holiday's playing 12 of 12. We know Bobby Portis is playing 10 to 12 of 12 in this. We know the Bucks are going to try to come out, set the tone. So I would rather have the team that's going to have their best players on the floor for more of the first quarter. Booker and Ayton probably end up playing all 12 in this one, but we know Chris Paul is not playing all 12. I'd like to get him off the floor. So I'll take Milwaukee if I had to on the first quarter spread.
Yeah. Justin, your thoughts there?
My thoughts are probably that this isn't really where I would try to get value. I know it's usually going to be on the home team, but it's pretty tough to get this. It might come off literally right at 2 is probably what the most likely result is. This is going to be a tighter game. I think if I'm looking probably more toward the half if I am in the first quarter. I think the first quarter is going to be a little bit more fickle, but you probably see the Phoenix Suns settle in a little bit in that second quarter, and I would maybe either take them in the second quarter or even for the half rather than the Bucks. Again, Bucks are going to come out hot, but Phoenix should be able to figure them out.
Nice. Now, our man Josh Shocks here in the chat asked, how do you think Crowder matches up tonight? Justin, I'll leave it back with you. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, Crowder's, pretty experienced, right? He's been on a lot of teams that have made the finals, made deep playoff runs. He is definitely a threat in the corner. Definitely, thanks for the question, Shocks. Shocks is a pretty active guy in Mike's Discord, know him pretty well. Love seeing familiar faces, but this is going to be a pretty good one. I think he should create a couple problems, especially in the corner. He is a pretty good rebounder, going to create a couple matchup problems. Again, he's part of like that unit that is going to be able to make some points when Booker or maybe Chris Paul is off the floor. I like him, especially if you're looking for like a DFS play, a sneaky DFS play, but maybe a scoring prop, but that's probably about it for me on Crowder.
Yeah. Mike, your thoughts here?
Yeah, very similar thoughts. I think that Crowder is going to depend pretty heavily on the status of Giannis, honestly. I think that with Giannis playing, they need him out there a little bit more. And I think that there's two things I'm looking at. I know we're going to get to player props here. I'm probably going to end up giving another official play once we have news. But I think that this game, you're going to watch it, and it's going to come down to Chris Paul getting that mid-range jumper in the lane. If Giannis is there to disturb it, Crowder's going to hit the corner three. If he's not there to disturb it, Chris Paul is going to score 28 points and sail over the 20.5 number, right? That's how this game's going to go. So I need some more Giannis news to tell you if I'm playing anything related to Crowder. If you wanted to jump on it now, I think you could lean over on the Chris Paul number. I think that for some of the narrative street type reasons, he's probably going to get to the 20 to 22 point range anyway. But I think he has 30 plus point upside if Giannis doesn't play. just because I think that Drew's going to be aggressive enough. Drew could potentially get in foul trouble, but I think that Chris Paul is going to have his way getting in the lane if Giannis isn't there to disrupt it all.
So you bring up a good question I want to ask, but we're going to pause because we have 100 likes. So we've got a winner. We've got a year-long subscription to give out to at 71 Wildcats. Congratulations. Welcome to the SportsLine team. Well done. Everybody in the chat, make sure. Let's get to 200 likes now. We want to give away 2 of them. But, yeah, at 71 Wildcats, congratulations. Well done on that. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to throw it right back at you. All right, you brought up fouls. Now, again, it's impossible to project who's going to get fouls, how a game is going to be officiated. But are there any thoughts that you have, just surface level, NBA Finals, Game 1, everybody in the world is watching, right? Are you expecting, is this going to be a tighter officiated game, a little more lax, kind of consistent with what we thought? Is there anything of value to find there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's going to be some theatrics at some point. You have Drew Holiday is ultra aggressive on both sides of the ball, especially when Giannis isn't playing. Chris Paul, I love the guy, but one heck of an actor when it comes to this point. And when there's high stakes games, he's very good at it. My biggest concern is Drew Holiday picking up 2 fouls in the first quarter for obvious reasons. But I think that the combination of having someone like Jay Crowder and Bobby Portis on the floor, all, very high energy guys. I think that I expect it to be tighter. I expect a lot of fouls called. I don't expect them to let them play too much in Game 1. I think they try and set the tone early with that. But more fouls called leads to more scoring opportunities, so puts them in plus situations, helps keep the game closer, frankly. If you got both teams that are potentially in the bonus, that helps a ton. And it's in everyone's best interest if this goes 7 games. So those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Justin, any thoughts that you have there?
Not really. I agree with Mike. He covered the bases pretty well on that one, honestly.
Yeah, it's hard, right? It's hard to project like, hey, there's going to be 18 fouls called in the first half. But no, I'm interested to see that. And you're right, especially with Chris Paul. It's funny watching like the reaction on Twitter, when he has a theatrical moment and people just go crazy. And obviously, rightfully so, at times. But yeah, that part, man, it cracks me up for sure. Now, let's reset a little bit because I want to go through some picks again. So with this game, this morning I gave out that I'm on the Suns team total over 112.5. And I kind of like this. I think that we're going to get a faster pace type game. I think we're going to see the Suns come out and put up some points. And really what I'm banking on is this. The Suns have scored 120 plus in both of their last 2 Game 1 playoff series, both against the Clippers and the Nuggets. We've seen them come out hot. And they scored 128 and 125 in 2 matchups against Milwaukee this season. I'm not saying that they're going that high, but I like over 112.5. And I'm also going to look at the Suns in terms of the spread. And you know what? I'm going to make this an official play for me. I'm going to take it because here's why. We went through earlier some stats, and not, again, that this means that it's an absolute correlation. But look, I like the spread here. And I'm going to go with the spread, but I'm also going to have a parlay here in a second. But you look at the home team NBA Finals. They've won 7 straight Game 1s by an average of 13.8 points. All right. Number 2, the home team in the NBA Finals has won 15 of the last 16 Game 1s. So that leads me into exactly what I want to talk about with my parlay, is that I am going to take the Suns money line and I'm going to take the Blue Jays money line as well. Both of them are pretty high priced, obviously, but I'm going to couple those together for about plus 120. And you look why we just talked about what the Suns have done. I think that they win the game tonight. I'm going to take them on the spread on a side bet, but also you look at what the Blue Jays have done. They've been absolutely fantastic in terms of their recent history, up against, sorry, I just lost my train of thought, but I'm going to roll with both of those teams. I like it. I like exactly where we're at. So that's what I've got. Let's kick it back to what you guys are playing. Mike, you've got Drew Holiday over 22.5 points. You've got the Phillies and the Cubs over 9.5. And let's see. What do we got here, Justin? You've got the Phillies and the Cubs over 9.5. You've got the White Sox Twins over 8. You get the Giants money line, and you had a fourth play as well. Throw that out for us.
Yeah, I was gonna actually take the Diamondbacks, right? Did you mention that one? I don't think you did, right? That's
Nope.
the fourth one.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna be on the Diamondbacks. It's a pretty solid fade of the Rockies, who just really haven't been able to win road games, especially when they're opening a series, which they are tonight. They've only won a single road opener the entire year. I know tonight there are going to be some other people on the Rockies. Again, this is the Diamondbacks. It's kind of like the who can lose this first type of game. But, I do think that Merrill Kelly has been better as of late, pitching at home especially. So, yeah, I'm going to take the Diamondbacks to win this one, -130 today.
I like it. Now, we've got an interesting question in the chat. You guys might play these. You might have never played these. But I like bets like this. Any thoughts on first player to score? Is there anything that you ever see in any game, but especially this one? Do you find any value and do you find any streaks in terms of that? Or are we just looking at dumb luck here? Mike, I'll throw it to you.
You want to tell him?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I play. You obviously need to win the tip for the most part. You need to make sure that your team is getting that first shot attempt. There are rare situations when, a team like, Giannis is not in the lineup here. Potentially you bet on the Suns to get the tip. They go in low to 8 and set the tone. He gets an easy bucket. I think that's fine. But overall, nothing is ever going to be good enough value to play. It's the first bet you see. It's fun. It's exciting, right? But there's nothing that's ever going to offer enough value in terms of the price that they're offering you to play it. So for me personally, I don't think I've ever played a first player to score bet in my life.
Well, let me say, it's a total degenerate bet, right? Like Joe in the chat says it completely. It's an absolute degenerate bet. Justin, I'm going to throw it to you just so you can answer. I assume you're probably going to fall very similar to how Mike answered, but any thoughts on that whatsoever?
Yeah, look, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like playing a no-run first inning type of thing, except there's even less to grab onto because it's like the first bucket, and what happens if the guy who you think is going to get the ball for that first shot misses? Then the whole thing's kind of like in the wind a little bit. I don't usually play it. Again, I think what can happen is people see like big positive numbers, and it's hard to understand that there can be bad value on such positive numbers, but it's the truth. Yeah. So, it's just they're not going to offer you a good enough line to take that risk. It's probably not going to be worth it. But, if you have to do something, fun and you're really looking for one, I don't hate a Chris Middleton or a Drew Holiday because you are getting odds with Giannis. So if he's included and then he sits, you kind of get a little bit of a boost. If they do win that tip, they do get it. So I would take someone on the Bucks side if I had to.
Okay. I can hear a little bit of degenerate coming out of you right there. I like it. Now, all right, and we're going to jump into Major League Baseball. The Maestro sent in some picks for us. We definitely want to get those on the board. But I'm going to ask this last question. In terms of this game, right, I like to think in terms of maybe chaos theory, okay? And follow me here. So whenever you see a big game like this, and where do we think that it's going to go? All right, more than likely, it's going to be pretty close to the spread. It's going to be pretty close to the total. But are there any scenarios that you see, because we've seen some craziness in the NBA playoffs already, do you see any scenario where the Bucks come out, completely stun the Phoenix Suns, or the opposite side? Do you see anything there to where the Suns could come out, win by 10, 15 type points, a margin play like that? And again, I'm not saying that you're making any type of play on it, but I like thinking in those chaos theories. Mike, I'll throw it to you first. Anything, that just kind of, just sits in your head that you think, well, I could possibly see this happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think my question to you would be, what do you mean by stun? Are you talking Bucks just winning the game? Is that a stunning thing, or is it Bucks winning by 10?
Well, okay. So I think you asked a great question. All right, Bucks winning the game. Like how?
Yeah, I think it's very realistic.
What do you say?
Very, very. I think it's very realistic.
Yeah.
For me personally, yeah, I think it's very realistic. I think that they treat it. I'm worried about the layoff for the Phoenix Suns coming back, especially with the young team. Not at all worried about it for Drew and Chris Middleton. Love Bobby Portis's energy. If Giannis is truly at the point where he's close to returning, you're going to see a sense of urgency from all of these guys trying to get their shots up, to get their minutes in, for Bobby Portis's sake, maybe Pat Connaughton, to even further solidify some of their roles, even with Giannis potentially returning. I love that they've only had 2 days off. I think it's super comfortable, super normal for them. So because of that, and because I'm telling you, Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, it's a game 7 for those two today. I don't think it's unrealistic at all. I will most likely have a sprinkle on the Bucks money line, to be honest with you.
I love it. Justin, your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think that if you're looking at like the probabilities of what these crazy results could be, you're going to get better odds at the Bucks doing something surprising than the Suns, right? It's just the natural inclination of the public. They're at home. People are probably like, oh, the Suns could blow them out easier than the Bucks could. But I think if you're looking at like the win by 10 plus types of results, and it might even need to be bigger for the Suns, right? Because you're already getting 6 points, 5.5 points towards their side. So to get similar odds to the Bucks winning by 6, you're probably going to need to go all the way to the Suns winning by like 12 or more. So, I definitely think there are some interesting ways to get some value on the Bucks winning decisively. We've seen first game defeats coming from, players like Trae Young, who silenced the crowds, hoping for that, home team to go up early and then can win substantially because of that deflating nature of these types of wins for a road team. So if I'm looking for some crazy big bet, again, I'm probably looking to the Bucks side for them to win by like 8 or more because the chance of it being that is probably better than what the books are giving you. And that's essentially what we look for to make a bet.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. I love it. Now let's take a look at our man, Mad Max. All right. He's got some props for us. Let's take a look at what he has and run through these real quick. And I want to get you guys' thoughts. So Phoenix Suns series spread -1.5 at +115. Chris Paul over 20.5 points per game in the series. And Cameron Johnson over 6.5 points at -125. So Justin, taking a look at those three right there. What are your thoughts? Anything stick out, negative or positive?
Sure. I think I'll start with the positive. I do like the Cameron Johnson play. I do think that's a pretty sharp one. He does have that ability to get shots up. He is going to be someone they look to a little bit more with that second unit on the floor when Chris Paul does get those rest minutes that we're talking about here a little bit. I also like the Chris Paul play. The Phoenix Suns series spread, I think, is probably the biggest risk, in my opinion. I mean, you're seeing it in the price too, +115. It's going to be a little tough. This game very, very easily could go to 7 games. It's just more likely than not, I think, going to be a 7-game series. If I had to make a bet, it would probably be that the series goes to 7. So
nice. Mike, your thoughts here?
I don't necessarily agree with the Phoenix Suns -1.5. I mean, it's fine if you like it at plus money. I think that's totally fine. Chris Paul over 20.5 points per game in the series. If you think that number comes in, I would play it tonight, especially if Giannis doesn't play. If Giannis doesn't play, I'm playing that number tonight as well. I've already basically said that. Cam Johnson, I love it. I have one minor concern with Cam Johnson tonight. And the fact is he didn't play in their closeout game. He was sick. So we're looking at, a full 7 or 8 days off now for Cam Johnson. That can be a good thing. That cannot be a good thing at times. But my hope is that with Torrey Craig coming in, playing some big minutes for them and other situations, it's all going to depend on Giannis, right? Like if Giannis plays, I think they want Craig out there a little more just because he's a better defensive presence. They might want him out there more anyway on Chris Middleton. So that's my only cause for concern. In the simulations, my number is still 7.4. Like it's still there. I don't love the -125 on it, but it would not shock me at all if we saw Torrey Craig get some additional minutes. Worth pointing out, he started the season with this Bucks team as well. Torrey Craig did. If Giannis plays or doesn't play, they might use Torrey Craig to defend Chris Middleton a little bit to spell Crowder and some of these other guys a break because Devin Booker can't defend him. He's just not ready to defend him at this level. So watch out for that. I do like the Cam Johnson over still. Like it still should get there. In the event that the Suns win convincingly, he's going to play those final few minutes also. Those are my concerns on it, though.
No, I like it. I like talking through these, right? Especially because Max is so good at he looks at so many different angles. I love, just kind of breaking these things down, and talking through each one. Now, everybody in the chat, make sure we want to get to 200 likes. We want to give away 2 year-long subscriptions to SportsLine. Seriously, let's get to 200 likes. Let's do it now so that we can work on the next one. You can see Justin, you can see Mike. They want to throw stuff out. They want to throw subs at you left and right. Let's make sure that we do it. While we're doing that, I want to switch to Major League Baseball for a little bit. All right. So, Justin, Mike, we saw you guys plays. My question is this. As you're doing your notes last night, this morning, today, looking at today's schedule, were there any games, any plays that kind of piqued your interest? Maybe wasn't enough to put in a play, but you had some good thoughts there. Justin, I'll throw it to you first. Anything that kind of just piqued your interest?
Yeah, and I'm gonna sort of sigh about it because I try not to bet on or with the Yankees. It's just hard to sort of see your favorite team clearly, but I think I would probably fade them on their first West Coast game of the year against the Mariners tonight. But I think the smartest way to potentially do that would be with an over. I don't think that what we're going to see is sharp pitching from either side. Jamison Tyone, I think, has like an 11.18 ERA on the road, and Justice Sheffield just has not been all that great. Mariners have shown they can score on the road. The over 9, I think it was at when last night. It might be at 9.5 now. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really paying much attention to it, but I really don't hate taking the over there if you want to sort of fade both those pitchers. I think that's probably a decent bet. Didn't make it on my sheet, but it almost did.
Nice. Mike, anything that you saw?
Yeah, one of them was a play that actually Justin ended up playing. It was the over in the Chicago White Sox Minnesota Twins game. It's one of those situations where if they play, the hitting conditions are going to be good enough that it should get over 8. The issue is it's a situation where the humidity is high enough, the temperature's high enough, the air density is low enough. The question is the humidity too high? Is it raining, right? That's the only question. If it's not full on raining and they cancel the game, should get there. It was close enough. I did lay off on it because of the weather situation, but it's one that I would have played. Same thing with the Blue Jays game. Total was up awfully high on that one as well, but very similar thing. Love the park shift for them in Baltimore here. Love that they are the team getting the guaranteed 9th inning team at bat. Cannot stress enough how important that is for a team like them that has the ability to put up 6 runs in an inning very, very frequently. So that's another one where I would lean over. Those were basically like my 3 overs on the day. As far as sides, there's nothing really that I love on sides. I don't have anything on sides. It would have been those 3 totals.
So. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And you're talking about the Blue Jays. I mean, I had them in the parlay with the Suns money line. Going up against Baltimore, their last 5 games, the Blue Jays have won 4 of them, and the Blue Jays have outscored them by 25 runs in those 5 games, right? So I think that there's a nice opportunity. Obviously, the money line price is expensive tonight, as is the Suns money line, just to win as well. So getting those 2 in a parlay for around plus 120, I'll take that. Just trying to find value wherever I can. What I want to do is kick out what the maestro, Larry Hartstein, has put out on Twitter in terms of his Major League Baseball prop bets. Believe he's got 4 of those that he's going with. Nola under 7.5 Ks, Arrieta under 3.5 Ks, Luis Castillo over 4.5 Ks, Chris Bassett under 4.5 Ks. Now, we weren't doing it to Max earlier, and we're not doing it to Larry now. We're not criticizing anybody's picks. We just like talking about them. Yeah, taking a look, walking through them. Mike, I'll throw it to you first. Anything that you see out of those 4 plays from Larry?
I'll take the under on Nola. I like that one a good amount. I like the Cubs lineup here. It's not going to shock me at all if the Cubs get to them early in this one, but we're both on the over in this game, so it makes a lot of sense. Always nervous about a total like Arrieta. It's a little low, but I don't hate it. I think it probably comes in and hits. It's obviously got the potential to be a real sweat because you can get those 3 in 1 inning pretty frequently, especially in a National League ballpark where you're got a free out in the pitcher's spot. So you're definitely hoping he doesn't make it 2 full trips through the lineup because he should have basically 1.4 free strikeouts between the two against the pitcher and the bottom of the lineup. So that's my only concern on that one. However, I do think that it's not going to stun me at all if, we're celebrating cashing this over in the third inning. It's not going to stun me at all in this one. So those are my thoughts on that one. As far as Castillo, he's someone I'm very much interested in backing. So I like that one. And then Bassett, same kind of story on Bassett. I'm not too familiar with that. I don't mind it in the ballpark they're playing in. I wish the roof was open in Phoenix, but it's going to be closed. So that doesn't help. Doesn't help the under position on him, but that one's going to be a sweat for sure.
Nice. Justin, your thoughts here?
Nola, I think, is going to be a little bit either way. I'd probably lay off that one myself. I think Nola should have the ability to get to 8. He's shown it a couple times this year. He can really rack up strikeouts. It's kind of how he pitches. He pitches for misses. He has a high whiff rate. I think he has like 10 plus strikeouts in a couple starts. He is a lot worse on the road, but again, if he's not getting strikeouts, that over is cashing really easy. And the line being at 7.5 is telling me that, this might be a little bit more contested than we'd all like. So we'll see. I do think the Arrieta under is a little interesting. Arrieta has only pitched at home once in all of June. He did record 5 strikeouts in that. This is going to be can they clobber him? Can he get out of the game early? If he does manage to go 5 innings, 6 innings, it's probably going to get to 4 pretty easily, but that's a play on Arrieta getting sort of beat up tonight by the Phillies. So that depends on how you want to approach that. It's kind of how I see that play. Then Castillo has been pitching of late. I do really like that play. I do think he goes over 4.5 tonight. And again, Bassett, I agree with Mike on the Bassett take.
I love it. Now, we're going to jump right back to the NBA, but what we want to do is this. Everybody, since I'm so honored and thrilled to get to sit in the coach's seat, and I'm nowhere near him, but at least wear the whistle, and I get to sit with Justin and Mike, who I learn from legitimately every day. It's fantastic just to hear them. We're going to give out another sub, and here's what we're going to do. In the chat, I want you to put down your Twitter handle, all right, and who you think is going to be the leading scorer tonight. NBA game, Bucks and Suns. All you got to do, your Twitter handle and the player, who you think it is, and we'll go through, choose one, and we're going to throw you a sub. And we are not giving up on the 200 likes either. We're trying to give out 2 others as well. So keep going for that. But yes, Twitter handle, who you think the leading scorer is tonight, and we'll choose one and give that sub out. So,
Professor Allen, I got a question.
Yeah,
I got a question. I'll raise my hand there.
I love it.
I want to point out on Larry's props, just getting the actual prices on some of them. So it looks like Nola was minus 158 on the under 7.5. That one I'm definitely staying away from. But the Chris Bassett one, it might have sounded like I was saying no on that one. I didn't realize he was getting that all the way up at plus 125. That changes things pretty significantly. I think that play is a lot better, knowing that it's at plus 125. So I just saw the tweet that he sent out there, just randomly assuming they were all, even money, minus 105, minus 110 when they're not, definitely will change my opinion of them. So
yeah, no, good.
The Bassett one's a lot better at plus 125.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that you saw that. Yeah, good call there. All right. So as we go to the NBA game and we kind of wrap up the show a little bit, and again, everybody continue in the chat. Put your handle out there. Let us know. Write the player who you think is going to be the leading scorer tonight. So let's talk really quickly. We don't have to dive deep into it. Anybody that's betting on the series, okay? Now, I don't have the exact numbers in terms of the odds in front of me, but let's just what comes to your mind when you're thinking who wins the series and in how many, right? So we think, Suns, they win 4-2. Suns win 4-3. We go 7 games. Suns win 4-1. We go 5 games. I'm going to throw it to you, Justin. You go first. If you had to place a bet, and again, obviously the odds and everything, make a big difference in this. But if you were just looking at it saying, you know what, for fun, I want to pick what this series is going to be, how do you see it played out?
Yeah, I pulled up a couple of the lines that I have from my book, which is usually pretty close to the consensus. So, you're seeing, it depends on how you want to play it, right? So if you just want to go, something along the lines of how many games you're getting. So I'm seeing like a 4-game series is going to be plus 600 or so, 5 games plus 200, 6 plus 175, and then 7 plus 165. Like I said, I really like that plus 165 on 7 games. I think you can also play it. There's some ways to play it like over or under a certain number of games. I think over 5.5 is actually really juiced. So maybe not over 5.5 minus 200, but I do like the specific 7-game bet. I do think this is going to be a contested series. I do think we see a lot of back and forth, maybe a couple upsets on home courts. But yeah, 7 games seems like there's pretty good value there for me because, again, all you just need is to get to that game 7. You don't have to be right.
I love it. Mike, your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think it's interesting, especially looking at the price of the series in general and the price today. If you like the Suns to win the series, play it now. Play it tonight. I mean, they're minus 195 in the series line. They're minus 250 to win this game tonight. If they win this game tonight, you're not going to see a price under 250 again remaining in this series. So if you like them to win the series, play it now. If you like them to win this game, probably play the series line now as well. I will say that if the Suns drop this game tonight, I don't see them winning the series. I think that it's just, it sounds a little silly to say game 1 is a must win, but especially if they get it without Giannis here, the Suns have to win this game. So if you like them in the series, take it now because minus 195 is lower than the minus 250 to win tonight. And the series price will be minus 250 or more if they win game 1. So as far as the best bet on the board is probably Bucks win 4-3 at plus 600. I think that's probably the best bet, followed by Suns win 4-3 at plus 360. I think that we're looking at a 7-game series here either way.
Nice. All right. So before we wrap up, before we review the plays that we have on this show, we want to announce that we do have a winner for choosing who is going to be the leading scorer tonight. So at Gowick, you are our bonus winner. Congratulations at Gowick. Welcome to the SportsLine team, and thank you so much for tuning in there. So let's wrap it up. Let's take a look what we've got. Justin, really quickly, run us through your plays tonight all across the board.
Sure. So, yeah, really quickly, I'm going to back the Diamondbacks. I know that probably sounds a little crazy, but they're playing the Rockies. Again, I sort of feel like it's a who can lose the worst. And, I like Merrill Kelly. I think he shut down some decent offenses in his last 3 starts. Rockies are far from that on the road. They've only won about 16 or 17% of their games when on the road, only 1 opener on the road. Then I'm going to have the Giants, who've only lost back-to-back games at home in 1 series all year when they were swept by the Dodgers. They lost the opener last night to the Cardinals. I do not think they dropped this one. Cueto is much better at home. Wainwright much worse on the road. Then I'm going with 2 totals. I got both of them. I got the Mike vote of confidence on. We have the White Sox and the Twins. Again, I talked about it. These teams just score runs against each other. They can't seem to stop one another. 12.6 runs over 10 games means 126 runs in 10 games. It's pretty crazy. And then this total set at 8. So I really like that, especially if it doesn't get rained out. It should be okay. And then Mike and I have the same play. We have that Cubs-Phillies over. I'll let him sort of talk about that one a little bit more, but I love it.
Nice. Yeah, Mike, throw it to you, buddy.
Yeah, starting with Drew Holiday, 22.5 is the official number that I played this morning, 21.5 last night, which is where you can get it right now. I like it either way, like it a lot more if Giannis doesn't attempt to play. As Justin mentioned, I have the over in the Chicago Cubs, Philadelphia Phillies game. Over 9.5 is where we played it at plus 100. My median number is 11.2 on it. Just an incredible hitting environment overall. Cubs mostly at full strength. Same thing on the Phillies side. So I like this one quite a bit. Just great hitting environment in that one. Again, my median number, 11.2 runs. Just big edge. So only other final thought would be Chris Paul over 20.5. Mad Max has that play as his average throughout the series. If you like that play over 20.5 tonight. And if Giannis gets ruled out, I will be playing over 20.5 tonight on Chris Paul. That's all I got.
Love it. Yep. I'm on the Suns. Team total over 112.5 tonight. I'm on the Suns spread, and I'm also riling with a parlay plus 120 of the Suns money line and the Blue Jays money line against Baltimore. So that's what we have for everybody. We can't thank you enough for tuning in, being in the chat, letting every all of us know who you're playing tonight. And it continues. Obviously, you see Justin and Mike are two of the most active guys on Twitter during games, non-during games, you name it. We definitely want to see what you guys are playing. And if anybody is a live bettor out there, I love getting in that action as well. So during the game tonight, if you see anything that you like, put it out there, man. Like, let's play it. It's all of us together against the books. So, that's what we have for you today. Best of luck on all your bets. Let's hit these, as Coach would say, right here on the screen. You've got your marching orders. Let's take that straight to the pay window. And I'll add this. Let's make some money tonight. Let's just make some money tonight, get some good bets, and come back tomorrow firing as well. So, yeah. So for Justin, for Mike, for everybody at SportsLine, The Early Edge, I'm Allan Bell. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the morning.
Do you want best bets in your feed every single day? All you have to do is hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Early Edge.